Let's talk strictly about the topic. Processed breakfast meats such as bacon, sausages, and ham may look inviting on the plate, but their impact on senior health tells a very different story. These foods are dense in sodium, saturated fats, and chemical preservatives that directly interfere with how the body functions, especially as we age. When eaten regularly, they create a burden on the heart, the blood vessels, and the muscles that are already more vulnerable in later years. Seniors often look for strength, energy, and mobility, but these meats slowly chip away at those very things. The high sodium content is one of the most immediate concerns. Salt is often used to cure or preserve these meats, giving them their distinct flavor, but at the cost of straining the cardiovascular system. Excess sodium causes the body to retain water, which raises blood pressure. For a younger person, the body may manage this strain more easily, but for seniors whose arteries may already be less flexible, the effect can be dangerous. Elevated blood pressure places extra stress on the heart and can damage the blood vessels, which in turn reduces circulation. Poor circulation means less oxygen and nutrients delivered to muscles, particularly in the legs, leaving them weak and more prone to fatigue. Equally important is the type of fat found in processed meats. Saturated fats, and in some cases trans fats, are abundant in these breakfast staples. These fats raise LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol, which collects in the arteries and narrows the pathways through which blood flows. Over time, this stiffens and clogs the arteries, making it harder for the heart to pump efficiently. For seniors, this not only raises the risk of heart attack or stroke, but also makes the daily effort of moving, walking, and balancing much harder. The very foods that should provide fuel for the morning instead drain energy by impairing blood flow. There's also the issue of chemical preservatives, such as nitrates and nitrites, that are often used in bacon, sausages, and ham to extend shelf life and enhance flavor. When digested, these substances can form harmful compounds that increase inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. Inflammation, though subtle at first, takes a toll on joints and muscles, leading to stiffness and discomfort. For seniors who want mobility and flexibility, this slow damage works against them. What looks like just a tasty breakfast option ends up being a hidden source of fatigue, joint pain, and even increased long-term health risks. Another layer to consider is the effect these meats have on blood sugar balance. While they are primarily protein and fat, the sodium and additives can disrupt insulin sensitivity over time. For seniors already at risk of diabetes or prediabetes, this further complicates the body's ability to regulate energy. Instead of fueling the morning with stable energy, the body fights hidden imbalances, and the result is sluggishness rather than vitality. Now, the question arises, if these foods have been part of breakfast traditions for decades, why should seniors suddenly be more cautious? The answer lies in how the aging body changes. Kidneys become less efficient at filtering excess sodium. The heart becomes more vulnerable to strain. Muscles recover more slowly, and circulation naturally decreases with age. What the body could once tolerate without much consequence now has an amplified effect. Processed breakfast meats become more than just a small indulgence, they become a roadblock to energy, strength, and independence. It's also not just about avoiding harm, it's about recognizing missed opportunities. Every meal is a chance to support the body, and breakfast is perhaps the most important of all because it sets the foundation for the day. When seniors choose bacon or sausages, they lose the chance to feed their body proteins and nutrients that actually build muscle, improve circulation, and enhance alertness. Instead of struggling with heavy foods that way, the goal should be light, nutrient-rich options that uplift and energize. The truth is clear. Processed breakfast meats offer immediate flavor but long-term harm. For seniors, the stakes are higher because every choice in the morning carries through. The rest of the day, energy, balance, circulation, and heart health are all influenced by what is placed on the breakfast plate. Choosing bacon or sausages may feel comforting, but the body pays a price in stiffness, weakness, and strain. This is why being mindful about removing these meats or, at least limiting them drastically, is not just advice. It's an essential step toward protecting mobility and independence. The act of skipping them is not deprivation but empowerment, an opportunity to reclaim control over energy and health. Every decision in the morning is a signal to the body either to support strength or to slowly undermine it. And with this in mind, the path forward begins to look much clearer, leading directly into the next vital question. If these foods weaken us, then what choices can truly build the energy and vitality seniors deserve? Would you like me to now expand the second point about sugary cereals in the same 700-word style? You said,
let's talk strictly about the topic. Sugary cereals are one of the most deceptive breakfast choices, especially for seniors. At first glance, they seem quick, convenient, and sometimes even marketed as fortified with vitamins and minerals. But beneath the bright packaging and promises lies a hidden truth. These cereals are loaded with added sugars that work against the body instead of supporting it. For seniors who need steady energy, stable blood sugar, and strong muscles, a bowl of sugary cereal is not a friend. It sets the stage for energy crashes, inflammation, and long-term health risks that quietly chip away at vitality. The main concern lies in the sheer amount of sugar. Many cereals that appear healthy contain the equivalent of several teaspoons of sugar per serving. When consumed first thing in the morning, that sugar enters the bloodstream rapidly, spiking blood glucose levels. For seniors, this sudden rise can feel like a quick burst of energy, but the body cannot sustain it. The pancreas must release insulin to bring the sugar down, and soon after, energy levels plummet. This cycle of spike and crash not only leaves seniors feeling tired and sluggish but also makes balance, focus, and alertness more difficult throughout the day. This constant roller coaster of blood sugar is particularly harmful for seniors with diabetes or prediabetes, conditions that are already common in later life. Every sugary breakfast makes it harder for the body to regulate glucose, leading to complications with energy use, nerve function, and circulation. Over time, this imbalance can cause further strain on the legs, increasing the risk of weakness and fatigue. Instead of giving the body the fuel it needs to move confidently, sugary cereals leave it running on empty far too quickly. Another layer of the problem is inflammation. High sugar intake triggers inflammatory responses in the body, which gradually affect joints, muscles, and overall mobility. Seniors often experience stiffness, soreness, or as part of aging, but sugar makes it worse by fueling processes that attack the body's tissues. Morning after morning of sugary cereals may not seem alarming, but the cumulative effect builds silently, turning what should be a nourishing meal into one that accelerates discomfort and weakness. There is also the matter of lost nutrition. A bowl of sugary cereal may fill the stomach, but it does not nourish the body in the way it needs most. The refined grains used in these cereals are stripped of fiber, meaning they digest too quickly, leaving nothing to slow down the release of sugar into the bloodstream. Seniors then miss out on the fiber needed for digestive health, steady energy, and cholesterol balance. Even when the box claims, fortified with vitamins, those added nutrients cannot make up for the lack of real, whole food nourishment that the body recognizes and thrives on. The impact on muscle strength cannot be overlooked either. Muscles, especially in the legs, rely on protein and stable fuel to stay strong. A breakfast of sugar-laden cereal provides neither. Instead, it drains energy, promotes fat storage, and denies muscles the essential building blocks they need. For seniors seeking to maintain independence, walking steadily, climbing stairs, or simply standing without strain, this is a serious setback. What seems like an innocent choice in the morning can erode mobility over time. Some may argue that cereal is an easy, convenient breakfast, especially for those who do not want to spend much time preparing food. And it is true. Pouring a bowl of cereal is fast. But convenience should not come at the cost of health. The few minutes saved in preparation are lost many times over in the fatigue, discomfort, and weakness that follow later in the day. The simplicity of cereal is appealing, but there are alternatives that are just as quick yet far more nourishing. Choosing differently does not mean giving up on ease. It means shifting toward foods that sustain rather than drain. It is important to recognize that sugar is not just an ingredient. It acts like a disruptor. It interferes with energy, damages circulation, inflames the joints, and weakens the muscles. For seniors whose bodies require careful support, this disruption has greater consequences. What could be a foundation for strength and alertness becomes a hidden trap, pulling the body in the opposite direction. Each breakfast, therefore, becomes a choice between stability and imbalance, between nourishment and depletion. Sugary cereals sit squarely on the side of imbalance, offering short-lived pleasure but long-term harm. Seniors who want energy for walking, clarity for thinking, and strength for daily tasks will find none of it in a cereal box filled with sugar. Instead, they are left chasing energy that never quite arrives. The conclusion is clear: sugary cereals do not belong on the breakfast table of seniors who want to preserve mobility, vitality, and dignity. Removing them is not about giving something up. It is about making room for better choices that truly serve the body's needs. And this naturally leads us to the next question: if sugary cereals drain energy and weaken the body, then what foods at breakfast can actually restore strength and keep the body moving forward with power? Would you like me to continue with third key point expansion in the same style?
Let's talk strictly about the topic. Processed breakfast meats, such as bacon, sausage, and ham, are often seen as a hearty start to the morning, but for seniors, they can quietly become one of the most harmful choices on the plate. At first glance, these foods feel comforting, savory, flavorful, and filling. They have long been part of the traditional breakfast table, and many enjoy them out of habit or nostalgia. Yet, when we look closely at what they contain and how they affect the aging body, their dangers become clear. Processed meats are loaded with saturated fats, sodium, and chemical preservatives that directly compromise health in ways that matter most for seniors: circulation, heart function, joint comfort, and overall energy. The first issue lies with sodium. Breakfast meats are notoriously high in salt, used both for flavor and preservation. For a senior, this level of sodium can strain the body significantly. Excess sodium causes the body to hold on to water, which raises blood pressure. High blood pressure is already a common concern in older adults, and every slice of bacon or sausage link adds to the burden on the heart and blood vessels. Over time, this leads to stiffer arteries, reduced circulation, and an increased risk of strokes or heart attacks. Even when these effects are not immediately felt, the hidden stress on the cardiovascular system slowly erodes strength and vitality, leaving the body weaker and more vulnerable. Then there is the issue of fat content, particularly saturated fat. Processed breakfast meats contain high amounts of this type of fat, which raises levels of LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol that clogs arteries. For seniors, whose bodies no longer metabolize fats as efficiently as in youth, the impact is magnified. Clogged arteries restrict blood flow, which not only affects heart health but also reduces the oxygen and nutrient supply to the legs and muscles. When circulation suffers, legs feel heavier, weaker. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Sugary breakfast cereals, often colorful, crunchy, and marketed as a quick way to start the morning, may look harmless on the outside. Many seniors may even view them as a convenient choice, easy to prepare, light on the stomach, and familiar from earlier stages of life. But when we examine them closely, the truth is far different. These cereals, with their high sugar content, artificial flavorings, and refined grains, are among the most damaging foods seniors can include in their morning routine. Their impact goes beyond temporary energy spikes. They directly influence blood sugar, bone health, heart function, and even the clarity of the mind. The most immediate issue lies with the sugar content. A single bowl of these cereals can contain more sugar than a dessert. For seniors, this sudden load of sugar causes blood glucose levels to rise quickly, only to drop soon after. That rapid rise and fall creates a roller coaster effect that leaves the body drained. Energy may feel high for an hour, but it crashes soon after, leading to fatigue, irritability, and difficulty focusing. Seniors often mistake this exhaustion as a sign of aging, but in reality, it is a direct response to the unstable fuel their bodies are receiving. Over time, these spikes in blood sugar also contribute to insulin resistance, pushing the body toward type 2 diabetes, a condition already common and especially harmful in older age. Along with sugar, the grains in these cereals are usually stripped of fiber and nutrients. Instead of whole grains, which provide slow, steady energy, these cereals are made from refined flour that digests rapidly into sugar. Without fiber, the body lacks the natural brake that slows digestion and steadies energy release. This not only worsens blood sugar control but also leaves seniors hungrier much sooner after eating. A bowl of sugary cereal may seem filling at first, but within a couple of hours, hunger returns, tempting the individu. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Processed breakfast pastries, things like donuts, toaster strudels, packaged muffins, and other ready-to-eat baked goods, might look harmless at first glance. They are often marketed as convenient, tasty, and even comforting. But for seniors, they quietly pose one of the greatest threats to long-term health. These pastries are not only stripped of essential nutrients but also loaded with sugar, refined flour, and unhealthy fats that work together to weaken the body from the inside out. Their danger lies not in one ingredient alone, but in the way these components combine to create a food that actively undermines energy, strength, and resilience in older age. At the core of the problem is the type of flour used. Unlike whole grains that retain fiber and nutrients, these pastries are made with refined white flour that digests quickly into sugar. This rapid digestion leaves blood sugar levels rising sharply and falling just as quickly. For seniors, this constant fluctuation is especially damaging. It creates feelings of exhaustion, hunger soon after eating, and difficulty focusing. Over years, these blood sugar swings contribute to insulin resistance, diabetes, and other metabolic issues that rob the body of stability and strength. The sugar content itself only adds to this harm. A single breakfast pastry can contain more sugar than the body needs in an entire day. When this much sugar enters the bloodstream at once, it doesn't just affect energy, it inflames tissues, stresses the heart, and encourages the storage of fat around the belly. For seniors, this visceral fat is particularly dangerous because it presses on internal organs and increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. What seems like a small indulgence in the morning actually sets off a chain reaction that weakens the body in multiple directions at once. Then there are the fats. Unlike the healthy fats found in foods such as nuts, avocados, or olive oil, processed past.